All right, so I'm not going to do any kind of delay or anything like that because we have a very special guest for you today, Sammy Steinman, the first probably guest that I've actually been able to have on the show that full on like is a hardcore right winger. Sometimes we have like centrist people. Sometimes we like one of my uncles is pretty right wing, but this is the first time we've had a real like right winger on in the entire show. And I mean, I don't mind having anyone on, but just viewers or listeners be warned. We could have some swearing, and you know. I definitely don't. I'll say I'm not going to agree with everything that he says. So I don't even know what he's going to say, which makes this also nervous. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it
No problem, Walshy.
in this quarantine. Yeah, and
it's not like I have anything better to do.
Yep. Not any kind of schoolwork, that's for sure. Yeah. So I want to. I guess we could start with like this very interesting thing that I saw on your Instagram, which is like kind of crazy because you. And it kind of goes against everything that we've seen. It was like, you said, I think the exact words were like, oh, there's no evidence that like locking down.
No statistical evidence is what I said.
That the coronavirus, locking down during the coronavirus helps stop the coronavirus. How can you say that?
Helps inhibit the amount of cases in a country. Because for yourself, you stay at home, obviously you're not gonna get it as easily. But like the aggregate data shows that like states that don't lock down, even when you adjust for population density and things like that, it's the same amount of cases as the states that lock down. And the states that did lock down like super early in comparison to countries.
But pretty much everyone in the United States did lock down, right?
No, there's a couple of Midwestern countries or states. My bad.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's like Montana.
Yeah, it was like the middle of nowhere ones, but like if you have if more people stay home.
Something that was, I guess I'll add on, is something that was interesting to me is like for flu season, it's worse in the winter, they say, because you spend more time inside with the windows closed and you're more likely to breathe in like flu air. Mm-hmm. So I think it's interesting that now they want us to stay inside to stop a respiratory illness.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like what I really kind of don't get is you're saying. Like, of course, there's going to be less cases if people are staying away. For an individual,
obviously, as an individual, if you stay home and you're able to keep to it, you're like in a perfect world where the lockdown works, it would work. But the problem is people disobey the lockdown, and then what you get is you still get the same infectivity, but then when the lockdown ends, there's a huge because we can't right now. Our lockdown isn't sustainable. So, like, if we were going to keep this until a vaccine, like 1 to 2 years down the line, like, that's just not possible. So at some point, we're going to need to open up at least a little bit. And the problem with our non-sustainable model is now when we open up, that leads it for a second wave. You know how, like, when Italy started to open up, their cases started to go up. Same thing in Florida. But when you look at a country like Sweden, they have a completely normal amount of cases, and they have a sustainable model. So they don't need to come out of their lockdown at all for the next couple of years.
What I heard is they didn't even have a lockdown, and they had more cases than any other of the Nordic countries. Like, if you put their graphs next to, like, Denmark and, like, Finland or whatever, they were...
That is true, but Norway is also, like, for everything. Like, Norway just has, like, a lower mortality rate. It's got, like, higher survival rates. Norway just has a better healthcare system. It's always for every sickness. Like if you look at any sickness, Norway does better than Sweden.
I mean, I think you could really kind of easily say like this is not like it's definitely a high curve. It's just not doesn't line up with the trajectories of people that do. And if everyone individually locks down, or if a lot of people lock down individually, it doesn't wipe anything out, but it definitely slows the spread.
Well, we live like right in the hot zone of the virus, and like one thing for me is, do you know more people who are affected personally in a severe way by the lockdown, or more people affected personally in a severe way by the virus?
Well, honestly, I don't really know too many people who've been who have gotten coronavirus or.
Well, like for me, you know, I'm a high schooler. I work at Pedigree Ski Shop. A lot of people there, they aren't high schoolers. That's their only stream of income. So now they can't go to work for the last month. I mean, I don't even know what they've been up to.
But wouldn't you say
I know one of them just bought a new apartment. He's probably fucked.
But if you got $600 a week in employment unemployment insurance, like that,
Yeah, but you
and
can't just
other
keep printing
government
money forever.
and that government. No, I mean,
Before
you
the
can definitely
pandemic, there
do a
were
lot
one
of
and a
aid.
half trillion dollars in circulation, and then we signed a $2 trillion stimulus bill. I mean, that's like, you can't just keep printing money forever. It's gonna at some point devalue the U.S. dollar at a point where it's irreversible.
Well, at certain points, but I just don't think we're at that point yet. And I think there are definitely, and there's ways through. How about the crazy idea of a downward redistribution of wealth? Like, if there's tons of ways through, like economic stimulus, like financial stimulus, and through like progressive taxation that you can look after most people. I mean, I wouldn't say Congress is doing it in the first or the second bill they put forth, but or whatever the hell they're doing now. But like, it's not really. I definitely can't. There's a third way. Is pretty much what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not you destroy the economy or you destroy people's health. Like, there's a third way.
Well, yeah, I think the third way is Sweden. Sweden, you said they have no lockdown. That's not like entirely true.
They have a limited one.
Like, they ended a bunch of their schools are online. Elderly people are like supposed to stay home and isolate. They have a bunch of like other things in addition to the lockdown. Like, everyone is required to wear a mask too, which the mask does help. Which I think at what point, like, you can't trust the CDC at all because they told people for weeks not to wear a mask, and they knew that a mask would help.
It's a changing situation though. Like, you got to say it's some kind of
that
changing
a mask
situation.
Helps with the respiratory illness. That's not a changing. That's just a fact. When they said the mask didn't help, I was like, "Oh, that's bullshit." There's no way.
Yeah, you said it'll stop you from getting it, but they wanted to get to. They wanted to. I think they also wanted to primarily get to it to like the people who need it the most. So, and like if you see a mask, like make your own mask, but get it to the healthcare workers.
They could have just gone with the make your own mask from the beginning.
Yeah, I think it's like, what was it that I forget the justification that they had, but it was very early on that they said, like,
no, the justification that they had was that it wasn't airtight, and that it would only protect, that if you had the virus, it would protect you from giving it to someone else. But they said it wouldn't protect you if you were healthy from getting it. So not to bother if you were healthy.
Yeah, but I think like it also wasn't a big deal then. I mean, I don't get like. What I just see was like a bunch of people, like a bunch of the conservative, like right, like their new focus is now to blame China, and like you can't, like I'm kind of like I see what you and the idea of like bring the supply chains back, like and get rid of your.
Well, I think
manufacturing
you can blame China.
I think you
at
blame
this
China,
point,
but why don't we focus on reforms that we need to do here in the U.S. and where we did wrong? Because
they did
things wrong, but.
But yeah, I think it's like an after thing, like a class action lawsuit type thing. But I think obviously this is China's fault. And something interesting that I found out, I have no idea how this isn't huge news, but the species of bat that carries coronavirus is native to like hundreds of miles away from Wuhan. And we know for a fact that there were coronavirus bats in the Wuhan lab. So that makes that the most plausible explanation. That it came from honestly, the lab, like, whether it was an accident or not.
There are kind of definitely mounting evidence. Like the lab had a very bad safety rating. I think I heard somewhere, but yeah. But like
that is and people are still going with the wet market theory. That didn't catch on at all, even though it's very clear now that it came from the lab.
Yeah, I mean, I'm maybe not as convinced on that as you are, but I definitely think there's a case to be made for it.
Well, I think it's at this point the most plausible explanation.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It's definitely not a crazy.
And I don't think it was on purpose either. Like, a lot of people think it was a conspiracy, like, on purpose. Like, I think, listen, they're Chinese doctors. Like, 3 years ago, they believed that if you eat, like, a bear's placenta, it's the same as Viagra, right? They're not going to be at the same level as Western medicine.
I mean, I don't know entirely about that, but, like, I do want to, because you also mentioned this, like, we did a show recently where we were talking about, I just made it this morning, in fact, where we were talking about the Las Vegas mayor, Carolyn Goodman, talking to Anderson Cooper on CNN. And I thought, like, that's kind of representative of the whole, like, attitude that I have, like, really a problem with, is just, like, putting just a bunch of people who are in a very good position to work from home saying that like begging people to go back to work, to line money in their pockets while they sit safely at home, and these people are putting their lives on the line. And just like that, the comment that she made, like, oh, it's in case you haven't heard, she said Anderson Cooper pretty much asked her, is like, are you going to go back onto the casino floor with your workers that you want to go down there? And her response was, in part, first of all, I have a family, as if these people don't. Like, it's a kind of
yeah, like that was I just didn't like. I think no journalist should ever say the phrase "so you're saying." You shouldn't say that. You don't put words in other people's mouths.
Well,
like at the beginning when she said,
I don't think he's trying to put it like, it's like, I think it's more of a question though. It's like, so you're saying this, not you said that though. I think
yeah, but he wouldn't even let her clarify. So what he said was very similarly. I'll go to actually what it was. She said that there was no control group and that she wanted Las Vegas to start off and be the control group. And then Anderson Cooper saying, so what you're saying is you're sacrificing your citizens in an experiment as part of a control group. And he completely like switched up like the order of the words to where it sounded a lot like what she was saying, but the implication is completely different. What she was saying is, look, we're in uncharted territory. People are dying anyway. So why not have a control group and see if a lockdown is really all it's cracked up to be? And then he's saying, so you want your citizens to die,
yeah,
basically.
and she's
which is not at all.
That's what she's doing. She's offering them up as like a control group, like offering up as the people who get to face coronavirus. Like, why in the world would anyone like want to do that? Like, this just makes no sense. Like, you're offering up. They're the people who they're experimental, like the lab rats. Like,
that's where.
And then she refuses to come in and be the lab rat herself.
They're not lab rats. She's letting them work. It's not like they're in an experiment in a lab. And
but no,
she's lab coats.
She's exposing them to the coronavirus, and in this metaphor,
every
Las
study
Vegas
that comes out, the death rate keeps getting lower and lower.
Yeah, but I don't think that you can't say it's not dangerous and life threatening,
sure,
or you can be seriously
kids
sick.
Every day die of diarrhea.
In the United States of America,
every day of diarrhea. You can't just put up coronavirus deaths and then it's like 300 people are dying. Oh no, people are always dying for a lot of reasons.
This is so stupid. Like that doesn't make any. Like, you can stop that. Like, you can stop. There's a bunch of idiots that drown in their swimming pool. Like, whatever. But that happens. It's like, it sucks. But like, you probably weren't that smart if you figured out how to drown in your kiddie pool. Like, I mean, if we can avoid this, it's very, very easy to stop. And the people who are going to be most in danger are going to be the people who are the poorest, like, most vulnerable people. And
those are all the people who. Those are also the people who have the least in savings right now.
Yeah, and it's like the people who the people who have the least in savings is like there's the third way is what I'm talking about. Like, you can provide them with like unemployment insurance, you could provide them with government assistance so that they don't have to work. And the fact that what I'm talking about is Las Vegas
money though. You can't do that forever. The vaccine's like a year or two away. That's not sustainable.
Hopefully it's not going to
go 2 years.
Hopefully it's for at least 3 months, but like there's I don't know, like there's a way to do it. There definitely is a way to do it. Like we bailed out everyone else except for the working class time and time again. Like I just don't like if you put
well, yeah, but I don't
think
any bailout is printing money. You can't just print money forever.
So I like it's not going to be entirely through printing money. It's going to be through taxation forms as well. Like some sort of like there's definitely many ways you can do it, but there needs to be a way to at least not for a year. Like not for like hopefully the curve will be flattened enough that we can go back to work.
The curve is flat.
At least by that. Flat. Yeah, in New York the curve is on the downturn, at least according to our governor here, which is good. But like and that just kind of proves the point. Like, there is ways to care for these people for these certain period of time. And what she's doing is she's like pretty much offering the people with the least and like exposing them to these coronavirus conditions, but then she's refusing to join with the people in her own city. Like it's what pretty much what Obama, it's pretty much what Obama what it is it's pretty much what Obama did when he showed up to Flint and he's like and he drunk that water like all fake. Like he showed he was not there to He was just lying through
No,
his
it's different than Flint because Flint is a different story because the government